Oh, hey, you're...
Which one of you idiots forgot to put the hut in park and let it stay in free range?
We were lost out there for weeks. Yaga kept saying she knew where she was going, but she clearly didn't.
Donnie, can you please shut up? Fool! Explain yourself.
Well, what had happened was that the hermit, you see, we were doing all these projects, just getting so much work done, and, feeding the chickens, and...
You better start working on a project right now, or so help me gods.
So today, I'm making a knife, I guess, out of a ring. So this ring identifies as a size 13, but we'll put it on the mandrel, and it's a size 14. Gonna put on some PPE for this project, talking about the possible health hazards of inhaling fumes and dust from heating and grinding metal could be and probably is the topic of a whole video of its own. Do this kind of work at your own risk and understand the possible hazards. I got these rings about 8 years ago from a website that supplies cheap crap in bulk, and they were advertised as stainless steel. I'm going to assume that they are steel, even though the sizes are not labeled correctly. So first things first, I need to cut this thing and straighten it out. And I'm pretty happy to find that I'm not strong enough to bend it cold, and it has a spring tension to it returning to its original shape. I can rule out that it was made of something like aluminum. So I'll heat it up to soften the metal. I know my torch is able to melt silver if I use the hottest part of the flame for an extended period of time, and that happens at 1763 degrees Fahrenheit, or 962 Celsius, which is hot enough to get steel to forging temperatures. I'd say it was red hot when the torch came off here, and it air cooled pretty quickly, but that's hot enough to soften it a bit. It's still pretty tough to bend straight using the pliers. I got the metal hotter on subsequent heating cycles, and that made it a lot easier to work. Ultimately, I'm not going to completely shape the blade like this. I just want it to be relatively straight before I start cutting and grinding. You can see that this time around I was able to get the metal somewhere between 1500 and 1600 degrees Fahrenheit, or between 816 and 871 degrees Celsius. Well past crystallization where the metal can be worked, and this also means I should be able to harden it by quenching it later on. Most importantly, it means I need to be cautious about the way I handle it. Fun fact, skin tissue is instantaneously destroyed around 162 degrees Fahrenheit or 72 Celsius. I know from first-hand experience that at much hotter temperatures, such as on a hot engine exhaust manifold or the high heat setting on your range top, that instantaneous means you'll hear a sizzle, pull away, and then smell burning flesh, and then see that your skin is missing without a trace of residue left behind at that point, almost like it melted and then evaporated. The temperatures I'm getting this metal to are about 4 times as hot as that. Side note, if you Google melting point of skin or sublimation point or carbonization point, you'll unfortunately get a lot of results related to child safety and some convoluted answers saying it's not that simple, your skin is a polymer and there's complex chemistry taking place to your skin at high temperature and blah blah blah. But that all sounds super pedantic and not really relevant to the point. Bad things happen and the components that comprise your skin in one way or another become gases, and that's why I'm showing you the chart every time I heat this bad boy up, because if you're going to attempt to recreate this and hopefully do a better job than I did, you should have a healthy respect for the risks and dangers of metalworking. Anyone who's spent an extended amount of time in a kitchen knows not to try to catch a falling knife, but it's very easy to forget that the metal you're holding is going to heat up when you're grinding it, or how fast that will happen, never mind when you're torching it. Even polishing a ring with buffing compounds can get it hot enough to scald you. Oh, and don't worry, I didn't hurt myself in the making of this video. I just thought I'd share with you some of the lessons I've learned the hard way. You're not going to see anything that's likely to upset your stomach while you're eating. The hermit had a pretty interesting injury himself related to being in close proximity to the radiant heat of an operating high temperature torch, literally just nearby while his skin was exposed, but that's a story I'll leave out. Now, I've got this thing mostly pounded flat at this point. There are nicer and better tools I could have used for all of this, but I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm no blacksmith, and this little brass hammer and my jewelry anvils worked just fine for my purposes. Matter of fact, I accomplished most of the work on the anvil attached to my clamp before I remembered I have an actual purpose-built bench anvil, which is basically just a block of steel I put on a painted 2x4 years ago when I started working on jewelry. That was around the same time I built my workbench here. The legs are some sort of polymer frame for mounting 2x4s, and the top is a nice sheet of 5-ply I bolted sheets of nickel-plated steel to the top of. Years later, I'm still beating the hell out of it. That's the thing about tools and furniture like this in the workshop. It wasn't all bought or built at once. You get a tool for a specific purpose, and then you keep it, and you acquire more over time. And eventually you have people asking if you have a certain tool or a certain ability to repair or fabricate. And at some point the answer starts to be, yeah, I could probably do that. Weirdly, it's a blessing and a curse. Some, if not most, of these requests I love fulfilling. Some are way more time intensive than I can justify doing for free. A great example of a task I loved comes from a family member who had outgrown their wedding ring. It was a simple 18-karat gold band, about 7 or 8 millimeters wide, and because they could no longer remove it nicely, they called me before they had it removed with a ring cutter. I told them to have it cut and I'll gladly fix it. So I got some 18-karat gold wire solder and used every bit of it, bridging the gap, then ground it, resized, and polished it, and this was the end result. I told him with a little more work I could clean up the small indentation where the cut was, but he told me he'd rather have it the way it was for the story. It's a sentimental piece to him for obvious reasons. We're so quick to replace things, but to him this isn't just a ring, it was the only wedding ring he's ever owned. That piece of metal surviving this trial and being on his finger to this day was symbolic to him of his own relationship being able to endure anything, and the indentation from the cut a reminder of that sentiment. It was so rewarding to be able to restore the ring for him, and while I was at it, I was able to polish his wife's as well. So you might ask, as some people have, what got me into jewelry making? Was it somehow related to my work? Did I go to school for goldsmithing? Absolutely not. Metalworking was just a hobby I picked up in my adult life. The only barriers to entry in learning a new skill are the determination to try and the equipment to make it happen. I think we've mentioned before on the channel, but the reason we make these videos is not to act as a step-by-step tutorial in doing any one particular thing, but to inspire the will to try something new or the inspiration to create. If you're waiting for your sign to try something outside your comfort zone, let this video be the catalyst. The other point I'd like to make is that the most important things to learn when picking up a new skill are just the basic functions or mechanics of technique. If you can understand the core principles that make that process work, you can figure out the rest as you go. Study concepts rather than trying to do an exact recreation of something someone else has done, and you'll have gained the ability to produce your own work. I also think a lot of people just get intimidated by the idea that doing a thing requires some ability they haven't unlocked to be able to even try. They say things like, I'm not creative, or I'm not mechanically inclined. I don't really know if this is just a way someone is wired to look at a thing and say, I can't do that, but I'm inclined to believe that most people are a lot more capable and talented than they lead themselves to believe. My dad is a great example of this. I've always been able to call my dad for advice and insight on any home project, and if he doesn't know for sure, he knows how to find the answer and always has some piece of knowledge that can make or break the project. I've seen him do carpentry, plumbing, electrical, woodworking, fabrication, even upholstery. He's got a keen eye for detail, and when he sets his mind on completing a project, it's always done with the utmost care and aesthetically as close to perfect as one can get. When it's done, it'll be as if a professional had done the project, and furthermore, I've seen him fire a professional from a project because what they were doing was not to his standard, then proceed to complete it himself to the high degree of his expectations. But my dad will tell you he's not creative. I will argue that's not true. I can tell you from my own experience that seeing the vision for a project while it's still raw materials is inherently a creative skill. Try explaining an idea for a painting to someone when they're looking at a sketch, or a vision for a carpentry project when all you've got is a rough schematic and some measurements scribbled on the back of an envelope. The experience is exactly the same, and the response is usually some version of, wow, okay, can't wait to see how it turns out. But what they mean is, this is gibberish to me and I'll be glad to see the tangible object you end up with so that I can finally have it make sense to me. I went off on a tangent there, but I hope you understand my point. Don't cut yourself short. If you're dedicated enough to learning something, you will learn it. If you're dedicated enough to doing something, you will do it. It may not turn out perfectly or even to the expectation you would set for yourself, but it will be done. Speaking of which, we've obviously gone off our normal posting schedule. Things have gotten busier for us outside of the projects we post on the channel, and in addition to that, we want to start working on some bigger projects in the future. We may even break up some of our projects into multi-video series, but anticipate that we will likely fall back into a monthly content schedule rather than bi-weekly moving forward. This way we can continue to deliver the best quality content we can without sacrificing our ability to keep up with a schedule.
I appreciate the initiative and the uncharacteristically strong sense of forethought. Just keep the projects coming or it's off to the Shadow Realm for you.
Yeah, so I'd really rather not go back there. It's like you're constantly hungry, but everything turns to ash in your mouth.
You kids of these days are so soft. Back in my day, we ate our ash cold, and we liked it.
I could actually really go for some ash right now.
Shut up, fatty. Nobody asked you a goddamn thing.
Is someone cranky because they missed their golden girls and nap time?
You shut up too. It's your fault we missed my stories. Trusting an apprentice to pot the hut. Idiot.
Okay, you old hack. Time for bed now.
I'll sleep when I'm dead, bimbo.
That can be arranged.
So anyway, as we come to a close on this project, I'll let the music play us out. Just stay tuned for the final results. I hope I've provided you with some form of entertainment or insight. It would mean the world to us if you would comment your thoughts, and if you've enjoyed watching, please like the video. And of course, subscribe, or be cursed to walk through a spider web face first twice a day for all eternity.